This has been a presentation of HBO Sports, the network of champions.
Two fighters whom first you met when we had our Night of the Young Heavyweights earlier this year from Atlantic City, New Jersey. David Tua of New Zealand set the tone that evening when he exploded out of his corner in the first round against slick John Ruiz, and starting it off with that left hook and then finishing with an even more brutal left hook, put away Ruiz in 19 seconds. Then Shannon Briggs brought his unbeaten record, his golden locks, and his tremendous prospects into the ring, and was summarily knocked out in 3 rounds by relatively unheralded Darroll Wilson. Wilson still unbeaten. Tonight he gets a chance to do to Tua and Tua's expectations what he did to Shannon Briggs earlier this year. And with us is our own hard-hitting heavyweight, Big George. And George, the people who put Briggs in against Darroll Wilson weren't terribly worried about him. Now Tua, another young prospect with an unbeaten record and perhaps a big future, gets a shot at Darroll Wilson. Does Tua have any more reason to be worried about Wilson than Briggs did when Briggs got knocked out in the 3rd round?
Even more so, because this time Wilson's got a little confidence.
Yeah.
He didn't have the same amount of little chip on the shoulder that he has today. He's going to be a better fighter, but of course Tua's got that power. There's no way you can kind of counter power. This guy can punch hard, Tua, but Wilson is confident. Anything can happen.
Tua reminds you of the young Mike Tyson, and not just because his body is so much the same, right?
No, he depends on catching you on the end. If you just step right out of the range of your defense with your chin out, Tua will catch you and put you to sleep in the same fashion that the old Mike Tyson used to do.
This could be fast. It could be very exciting. Both fighters have knockout power. Both fighters come in with great excitement. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape between 23-year-old David Tua and 30-year-old Darroll Wilson, a late starter in the sport. You can see that Tua comes in with 226 pounds packed onto his 5'10" frame. It's all muscle, but Wilson has an 8-inch reach advantage, and he will try to use his jab to keep the power-punching Tua away from him. Punch stat numbers with Larry Merchant.
Let's take a look and see how active these fighters are. And as you can see, Tua comes out of that brawling tradition of small, compact fighters, throws a lot of punches, lands a very high percentage. And he has a jab as well, but Wilson uses his much more often.
Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The David Tua Darroll Wilson fight is scheduled for 12 rounds. There is no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight, and you can be saved by the bell in the 12th and final round only. Jim.
And first to enter the ring will be Darroll Wilson, originally from Danville, Virginia, now lives near Atlantic City, New Jersey. You can see that 6 of his last 7 fights have gone the distance. The one exception, of course, was the massive upset over the heavily publicized Shannon Briggs.
Married just 1 week ago to a longtime girlfriend, celebrating his first 6-figure payday.
And hoping for some bigger paychecks down the road. The gentleman who worked with Darroll Wilson are the same people who brought him into the sport years ago. He was a high school football star and basketball star in South Virginia near the North Carolina border, and never expected to wind up in the ring, but people who saw him as an athlete said to him after high school, hey, you should try this. He didn't turn pro, as you see, until age 26. And there's the record for Wilson. 17 wins, no losses, 2 draws, 11 KOs, though he showed some knockout power against Briggs. And here comes David Tua, originally from Samoa, grew up in New Zealand after his father moved the family to New Zealand to find better economic circumstances. They still speak Samoan in the household. He's a really self-possessed young man. You saw the graphic that said that he won the bronze medal in the heavyweight division at Barcelona in 1992. And as Lou Duva loves to point out, Larry Merchant, he went all the way from New Zealand to Barcelona by himself to collect that medal.
At the age of 19. You know, there's an interesting story behind how Duva found him. We all remember Evander Holyfield getting robbed of a decision in the '84 Olympics. Well, the man who got that decision was a New Zealander who told Duva about Tua.
And
Tua.
Kevin Barry remains a part of Tua's corner to this day. George Foreman told you about his penchant for catching his opponents right on the point of the chin with his leaping left hooks. We'll show you a couple of examples of how Tua catches people with the left hook while coming up out of his crouching stance. There he did it against Ruiz, here against another taller fighter, and just as George points out, these are reaching, lunging left hook punches that generally catch the opponents right on the point of the chin, that one a little bit farther back toward the ear. But in every instance, the result is the same, as the opponents tend to go down and stay down. And the record for 23-year-old David the Terminator Tua, 24 wins, no losses, no draws, 20 KOs. In his spare time, he writes poetry in his native Polynesian language. Now let's go to the poet of ring announcing, Michael Buffer, for the official introductions.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the James L. Knight Center of Miami, Florida, and a doubleheader of championship boxing brought to you by Main Events Monitor in association with your undisputed king of beers, Budweiser. This first bout is presented in association with Peltz Promotions. Both bouts are sanctioned by the Florida State Athletic Commission and the World Boxing Council. WBC supervisor for this first contest is Anibal Miramontes. The three judges scoring the bout on a 10-point must system will be Jose Juan Guerra, John Keane, and Stuart Winston. And when the bell rings, the man in charge of the action, your referee, is Bill Connors. And now, ladies and gentlemen, two undefeated young heavyweights put their records on the line for 12 rounds of boxing for the WBC International Heavyweight Championship. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing red and black and weighing in at 212 pounds. He brings a professional record of 17 victories without a loss, 2 draws, 11 knockout victories to his credit. Ladies and gentlemen, from Atlantic City, New Jersey, presenting the undefeated Darroll Doing Damage Wilson. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black with silver letters. He weighs 226 pounds. His professional record, 24 victories without a loss, including 20 knockouts. From down under, South Auckland, New Zealand, introducing the undefeated David Tua.
All right, I got it. Jeez. Enough of them, huh? All right, you're both giving your instructions in the dressing room. I'm going to clean fight, listen to my commands at all times during the round. Protect yourself at all times during the round. Any questions over here? Any questions over here? Touch gloves. Good luck to both of you.
David Tua is regarded by many as the best young heavyweight out there. He's the prospect. An impressive win here would move him up into the next level of boxing, starting to go up against top 10 fighters. Let's see what he has.
Darrell Wilson, as he takes off the robe, looks to be in excellent shape. Same kind of condition that he was in when he fought against Shannon Briggs. If anything, his arms look a little bit bigger and more heavily muscled. You look at Tua in there, he's built like a truck.
Well, let's get him up, Darrell.
Early on, George, logic tells you that Wilson will want to get his jab going and create some space between himself and Tua.
I couldn't have said it any better. You want to establish a left-hand fight. Make him fight this fight by beating him to the jab. Make a young fighter say, I can jab too. Make the fight go into the third round, and he can change things with a power puncher.
But right now, George, he seems intent on staying inside with him and matching strength and showing him that he's not afraid of him.
And that has some benefits also, because Tua needs you to back away your chin a little beyond your feet so he can get that hook going. He doesn't like to throw it close. Although he's a puncher, he doesn't like to throw it short.
So maybe that's what
he wants you to lean back a bit.
So maybe Wilson decided that the better part of valor here is to stay inside of Tua's power rather than to give him a chance to extend that left hook.
Yeah, if you're not going to be jabbing and keep him on the end of your jab, make sure you stay close. Tua's powerful, but he doesn't like short punches.
Wilson bodying Tua off inside and trying to match him punch for punch. When Wilson steps away, he extends his arm as if to jab, but then leans right back in, shoulder to shoulder with David Tua. Midway through round one. Triple left hook by Tua.
The thing that Tua has to be careful about is allowing Wilson to get any confidence. He stays in there too long and let this guy taste his power, and he's not on the canvas. He's going to give him a tougher fight than what he ought to do.
Now Wilson starts pumping the jab as Tua steps back to look for punching range. Wilson seemingly content to fight in the phone booth, but if Tua wants to step back, he'll get the jab.
Now, if I'm a trainer working a corner, I would tell Wilson, keep hitting Tua in the chest, around the body. Don't go for any hard shots. Just keep tapping him around there. That's the only way you deflate this power from these giants.
Two fighters trading left hooks at close range in round one. Fight promises a lot of fireworks.
Coming up.
Wilson tries a right hand across the top. Tua lands a short left. First down Wilson, or first time Wilson's ever been down.
Can he beat the bell? Can he beat the bell? No. He can't. He's counted out.
Another first round knockout for David Tua.
Clean as a whistle.
That's a left hook, huh?
That was a vicious first round. Two young, strong heavyweights testing each other. The younger, stronger heavyweight had too much.
And Tua's awfully excited about this.
As he should be.
Stands up on the ropes and gets a cheer from the crowd, and in the middle of the ring, medical personnel working carefully with Darroll Wilson.
He's crossed into another level now. He's a top-rated fighter. Listen, he's to be reckoned with. He's not one of these Johnny-come-lately. He's a top fighter now.
How's he going to get any fights? Nobody's going to want David Tua at this point, George.
I would not blame them.
No, there will be fighters who will test him, who will think that if you can extend him, if you can box him, rather than what Wilson did, which is to stay shoulder to shoulder, there are guys out there who will try him, and of course, if he becomes a crowd attraction, as this style of fighter does attract the crowd, then there will be enough money for fighters to want to go up against him.
Let's take another look at the knockout punch, and as it happened, Larry, George put his hand on my arm as if to say, that's the end of that. And sure enough.
Just stepped back and drove that left hook. Just watch how he steps back. Boom. Woo. That's one of those 8-inch punches you don't see much of anymore, George.
Oh, he had to extend it a little bit this time. When he was closer, he couldn't do it, but this guy gave him just enough room. And let me tell you, it's sleeping pill days.
And Wilson dropped his right hand, too, to make room for the target.
No right hand there. You got to stay close or stay away.
If you're going to fight a left hooker like Tua, you're well advised to hold that right glove right up against your cheekbone all the time.
And everything else you have.
Might want to put a shield up there, too, huh?
That's right.
He is an unusual young man. He not only writes Samoan poetry, as Jim pointed out before, he plays a guitar. He's supposed to shoot a mean game of pool, and he can fight.
And he's planning to spar with Evander Holyfield before the Tyson fight. Good choice. Here's Buffer.
A fighter cannot be saved by the bell. The winner by knockout victory in the first round, still undefeated, and now the WBC International Heavyweight Champion, David Tua.
A stunned Darroll Wilson able to collect himself well enough to offer congratulations there to David Tua. And even though Tua was so fiery and aggressive looking after the knockout that it looked as though he was fueled by anger, when you get him alone, this is a serious, devout young man. He's as nice as he can possibly be, George.
Has a tattoo. Something put on him by some elders.
Right, tribal elders when he was 6 years old in Samoa. He doesn't even know what the tattoos mean because those elders died before they could tell David. But he's proud of his tribal markings. Let's go to Larry Merchant.
Thank you, fellas. David, congratulations. Were you very surprised that he came right to you and went shoulder to shoulder and went punch for punch with you, David?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank to all the supporters in New Zealand and all over America for their support, and thank God especially for this great victory. Yes, I was very surprised that he came out swinging and tried to fight me inside, and I said to myself, well, just pitch my shot and keep it short as what I've been told in the gym. I take my hat off to all my trainers, Ronnie Shields, Roger Bloodworth, and of course for Ike Ibeabuchi for the great work, and of course Isaac Brown and the good guys for giving me great work.
Can you describe the difference between some of the hooks you landed on him earlier in the round and that last hook?
Well, I try to wear him down the body and try to go to body instead of trying to go head hunting all the time, because I've heard they've been thinking that I'm very green and I'm just kind of come out there leaping and not working on my jab. I've been working a lot in the gym trying to work off the jab, and thank God everything works in our way tonight.
So you're saying you thought that after you landed some of those early punches, the body punching you did softened them up for the final shot?
Definitely. You said it right, Larry.
What do you see in your future, immediate future now, David?
Well, I leave the rest to the doers, and the only thing I can do right now is to go back to the gym and keep learning and just do the best I can to the best of my ability. And
all right, Lou, where do you think he goes next?
Well, I'll tell you something. He's getting better and better. This guy here can punch. Anybody he hits, he knocked out. There's no reason why. Tyson says nobody wants to fight him. Bring him over here on HBO, and we'll fight him, winner take all. Right here in the ring. We'll fight him on HBO, Mike Tyson.
But what is next for him, realistically?
Realistically, anybody we can get that means something, that's up there for contendership. Anybody that means something, we're ready to fight. I don't care who it is up there.
Neither do we. Thank you very much, Lou and David. Let's go back to ringside. Sorry.
All right, thanks very much, Larry. Well, I don't think you learn a whole heck of a lot about a guy watching him for 3 minutes, but surely you do with your expert view. What did you learn about David Tua watching him this time?
Tua's got power, but he knows his range. It's understandably to have power, but to know your range at the same time. He's patient. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's a power to be reckoned with in the future. I like him.
The comparison to Tyson is so obvious because of the style, the left hook, the body shape, etc., etc. So now this guy is going to go train with Holyfield to prepare Holyfield for his battle with Tyson this fall. Is that a good break for Evander to have somebody like this to spar with?
I wouldn't want to spar with a guy like that before a fight. He may not be in one piece when it comes time for the fight. But Tua is a power. This guy's got the right kind of body, and he uses the right kind of style for that body. I like something like that.
Interestingly, he comes from the same stable as the last young heavyweight we saw, Andrew Galata, who so embarrassed Riddick Bowe before that fight was stopped because of Galata's low blows on July 11. Looking at the two of them, and you liked Galata that night just as you liked Tua tonight. Who do you like better, Galata or Tua?
I like Tua in the first round and Galata in the fourth. They are both equally, as far as I'm concerned, have the same talent. And that's something you're not going to see all the time, especially in the same stable like that. I don't know how they're going to be able to keep them apart.
Well, it'll be interesting to see. Let's go to Larry Merchant now, who's in the ring with Darrell Wilson.
All right, Darrell, quickly, why did you elect to go right to him, shoulder to shoulder and punch for punch, rather than use your jab?
I should have boxed him, tell you the truth. But I thought I could go in and do what I always do, go in there and hang with him. But I just got caught.
He hit you with some hooks earlier in the round that seemed clean. In your view, your feeling, why was that last hook so devastating?
You just caught me off guard, like I said. I had my hand down, should have been up.
Okay.
So,
we're going to take a look at the knockdown, and you describe what you were thinking at the time, because you had come through the round in pretty good style up to that moment.
See, I had my hammer there, and he caught me. Right there. Got my hand, caught me, so hey.
And he had landed some body punches as well
Too
earlier.
many body punches. He just caught me with a good punch, put it like that. I'll be back.
Do you think he's got a really bright future?
Oh yeah, definitely. Both of us got two bright futures. You know what I'm saying? I just got caught with a good punch.
Darroll, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Jim?
Still to come tonight, the main event between welterweight champion Pernell Whitaker and challenger Wilfredo Rivera. Whitaker Rivera 2. As you might expect, Pernell and his camp followers have their own view of what happened April 12 and how different it will be tonight.
For the past 3 years, Pernell Whitaker has been widely recognized as the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. With 38 wins, 1 loss later avenged, and 1 totally bogus draw, Sweet Pea thought he had proven himself to the world.
Pernell Whitaker would be the best fighter pound for pound as long as he stayed professional, until I retire. Because I'm not going to relinquish anything that, I'm not going to lose anything. I'm just going to stay as flamboyant in that ring as I do.
But Whitaker was anything but flamboyant in his last bout against Wilfredo Rivera, a sloppy fight in which Whitaker